गणेश चतुर्दशी के इस शुभ अवसर पर सबका वेलकम एवरीबडी. सो वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस समथिंग फ्रॉम महाभारत. दैट वाज द one of the greatest contribution of Vignaharta Vinayak. Like the Vaishnava Acharya has explained, Vinayaka means what? Vinayaka means Vighata Nayaka. Vigata means those who do not have gati, he gives them the direction, he gives them the path, right? So therefore, when Vyasadev was planning to write the great Mahabharata, he was looking for a scribe, not only who could actually write what he would present, but understand what Vyasadev is saying and write exactly according to what he meant. So Vyasadev would narrate the words and Bhagwan Ganesh would write the bhava also. There is a shabdartha and there is a bhavartha. Bhavartha is capturing the essence of the word. So therefore, we have to be extremely grateful for giving us this literature, which is the glory of Lord Krishna along with the Pandavas and the evil deeds of the Kauravas, the attachment of Dhritarashtra, the great vision of Vidura, Dharmashilata of Gandhari, and the great determination and patience of Kunti. These are the 6 basic subject matter of Mahabharata, right? But within the story of this great personality, the entire life wisdom has been placed very systematically, very aesthetically, very beautifully, very entertainingly. So today we are going to discuss on aesthetic of suffering, subjective reality of dharma, right? So that subject itself is very interesting in regards to how is it possible there can be beauty in suffering? Is it possible to experience beauty in suffering? Right. So if you study carefully, tomorrow we'll dwell into something on the how different philosophies saw suffering when we do with the greatest venture, doing good to others. Generally, suffering was seen as an anger from God, right? In the Western world, the suffering, the misery was seen as lack of faith in God, a rebellion against the God, and only if you follow, believe in God, then you can overcome suffering. But when we study from the Vedic perspective, we will understand far more deeper concept than what this superficial understanding is, right? So why aesthetic? That is the subject. As we go, we will understand. As we discuss, there is a bhava and there is shabda. So there are certain principles in the compilation of Vedic literatures. That is part of the Nyaya. Nyaya is something close to logic, but not exactly logic, much beyond. Nyaya is not simply justification, right? So there is this Kavya Shastra has this theory, Dhvani. Now what is Dhvani? Dhvani is not simply a sound. It is not simply a vibration. It is not the chaos what we see around in the big cities, right? All over, if you go to the railway station, it is not dhvani. It is not vibration. It is the, having so much of chaotic condition. Everybody is running around with lots of anxiety, screaming, shouting, laughing. It's a amalgamation, not integration of all kinds of emotions. It's a basically having a confusion, chaos of everything. So therefore, in the dhvani, there is a meaning of the word. There is a feeling of the word. There is the experience of the word. And what does it do? That shabda, that dhvani gives rise to suggestion. Suggestion means you can feel something, you can understand something. If the understanding does not come from the dhvani, then it is not a dhvani, it is mere confusion. Therefore, if you study carefully, whether it is Ramayana, the Kavya Shastra of Valmiki Maharshi, or it is Mahabharat, which is Shastra Kavya of Vyasadeva. Ramayana is the Kavya Shastra. Mahabharat is Shastra Kavya. Meaning along with poetry, that is Mahabharat. Ramayana is poetry with meaning. In this world nowadays they only create sound many times, right? There is a sound but there is no meaning. As much as there is a chaos, loud sound, harsh sound, that becomes music, unfortunately. But that is not music. That is music, but it is nothing but chaotic condition. But here dhvani means it has to give a suggestion, it has to give meaning, it has to give feeling, it has to give understanding, it has to give an experience. Second is, along with dhvani, there is a concept of rasa. In our parenting seminar, we touched upon the concept of rasa. Where does the concept of rasa comes from? Now, rasa is the interactions of relationship gives rise to certain emotions. Dhvani gives rise to emotions. When you don't understand the dhvani also, it gives rise to emotions. When you understand the dhvani, it gives rise to emotions. And when you don't express so-called neutrality, udasinata, that also gives rise to emotions. So therefore, if that can give rise to emotions, what to speak of involved party? There is dhvani, there is rasa, and there is sahrudaya, the sensitive reader. Right? The sensitive reader, it is but natural. Even the neutral writer, when he is writing, if you study Mahabharata and Ramayana, the beauty of these writers, they were not as it is considered, they were hired by the victor party. Right? Like we see, any narratives, any itihas, whether it was Rama Janmabhoomi itihas, up until now, some of the left historians, headed by Romulo Thopper, they were chastised by the judiciary also for hiding facts, because they were controlling the narratives. It is but unnatural reality in this world. When the political influence comes into picture, the stories of the past get obscured, or they're appropriated, or they are given different narrations only at the cost of not speaking the truth. They will add some facts here, but rest assured about Vyasadeva and who? Valmiki Maharshi. The involved party who are writing the Itihasa and Kavya, as much as devotion they had, they also had the principle of writing the Itihasa as it is without compromising the truth. And however the truth was harsh to their own loving party. Where do you read the story of King Yudhishthira Maharaj's gambling? Is it written outside the Mahabharata? Where do you read about Arjuna's weakness in regards to feeling little fearful of Ekalavya's greatness? You read in the Mahabharata only. Where do you read about Draupadi's outburst against her husband? Almost speaking the Purushartha philosophy, apparently looking that it is an atheistic philosophy. You read it in the Mahabharata only, Vyasa's Mahabharata only. Vyasa's Mahabharata does not tamper the truth, even though sometimes the truth may be bitter for the very people whom he was always guiding, that is Pandavas. And that very Vyasa also talks about certain good qualities. At some places, he calls Dhritarashtra Mahapragya. Mahapragya, very highly understanding person. Sometimes. And many times that very Vyasadeva, he has the courage, because it's Vyasadeva, to chastise Dhritarashtra, who was none other than, in one sense, he came because of Vyasadeva only to this world. So the involved party here, we see, the reader like us, when we read, when we hear, we become involved. We know the story of Parikshit Maharaj when he was listening to the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. When he heard the story of Putana coming to harm Krishna, the baby Krishna, Parikshit Maharaj basically was almost standing, ready to stop that evil Putana. He was very caring for Krishna, something would happen to Krishna. Then Shukadeva Goswami said, Parikshit Maharaj, you know what? Actually, even if you chant the holy name of Krishna, no ghosts, no hobgoblins, nothing will happen. What to speak of Lord Hari personally when he was present? King Kulashekar, when he was listening to the stories of Ramayana, same thing happened. He was almost jumping into the ocean to go and fight against Ravan, and his people had to tell him another story to stop him. So therefore, the beauty of these scriptures, it is not simply enthralling stories. They create a beautiful connection with the character and the characteristics. The character is there, Pandavas are there, and the characteristics is there. Vyakti or Vyaktitva. Gun and those who exhibit these gunas, qualities. The exhibitor of quality will be not there in this world. But the qualities which he or she exhibited, they will continue to stay forever. The good qualities and the bad qualities. So the goal is exhibition of these qualities. But the tool how to exhibit these qualities through the beautiful stories. So here one of the main guna, the main rasa, the main feeling of this entire Mahabharata or Ramayana is the rasa of karunya, karuna, could be called as vishada in this context. Right? In the Marathi language, many times we use the word kiti maya karte, right? How much she does maya. Now the word maya is used for affection, right? And also this word maya is also connected to obsession, attachment, unreal, non-permanent thing. So when we understand these two scripture, what do? They give the character and they give the characteristic. Just like this is the beauty, when you go to an astrologer, if you are speaking to them in English language, there is inherent limitation. Because when you talk about Venus, now what is Venus? Venus does not bring any personality in your mindset. But when you say that Venus as Shukra, what does it do? It gives rise to the characteristics of Shukracharya. When you say Jupiter, what does it bring? It brings the character of Brahaspati. Guru. When you bring out the character of Moon, what does it do? Chandra. The entire story from the Bhagavad, in the Mahabharata, in the Ramayana, the entire characteristics of Chandra will come. Surya, the same thing. So therefore, these literature, they bring out the gunas. They bring out the gunavan. And they bring out the events also. Just like legacy of universal conflict. I gave the example of Shukracharya. Now what is this aesthetic? Suffering में aesthetic कैसे हो सकता है? The aesthetic in the suffering, I said it is a subjective reality of dharma. Suffering is objective, but the experience of suffering is very subjective. Remember that lady? No, she has her orphanage, Sindhutai Sakpal. I remember meeting her with His Holiness Radhanath Swami. So she told him, very interesting, Swamiji, वेदना से ही वेद की निर्मिति होती है. वेदना, वेदना, वेदना means what? Vedana means pain. It is not dukta. It is not it's hurting me. Vedana, Vedana means intense pain, intense suffering. But you have the right approach to that Vedana. What does that Vedana do? That Vedana gives rise to Veda. The Vidura, the word Vidura, what we study in the Mahabharata, what does it represent? He represents intense, limitless vision with, जो समझने वाले, Vidur, the word Vidura comes from with. He is a Yamaraj personified, justice personified, Nyaya personified, coming in the family of the Kurus and becoming a visionary, giving profound advices, helping people understand the meaning of life, and part of that life and part of understanding that meaning is inherent quality of suffering. As I said in the beginning, in the Christian world, in the Western world, suffering was seen as a sin, right? And if you put faith in God, then you can overcome your suffering. But let us again, this verse repeatedly comes. What is that? Bhagavad Gita 2.14. It has to come. What does Krishna say? The famous verse, this is the aesthetic beauty. Here Krishna is showing that there is an amazing perspective for life. No, what is it? Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkada agama apayino nityastam titikshasva bharata. Krishna gives an example. Now this example is not an out of context example. It will always remain a fresh context forever, even up until the destruction of creation. Up until the destruction, not at the time of destruction, up until the destruction. Rest every other example, giving the example of television, giving the example of phone or anything else, is redundant and not fresh because they will keep moving. What an example Krishna gives. He gives the example of nature, Prakriti. He says there is happiness and there is distress. How happiness and distress is there? It is just like summer and winter season. Why do they come, Arjuna? They come because of, the sensual perception. They arise because of the sensual perception, because we relate to the world through our senses. We see through the senses. So that will always remain the reality, the objective reality. The senses are there, the suffering is there, the happiness is there. Whom is he telling? He is telling it to Arjuna. Who is Arjuna? Arjuna is a great friend of Krishna. Who is Krishna? He is the Supreme Lord. He does not bring faith for suffering here. He brings Nyaya for suffering here. He brings the eternal reality of this world. And therefore, it is explained that Mahabharata not representing the world. It does not represent the world. Instead, it is the world. It is not representation. It is the world. Every character, every characteristics, every event what is described in the Mahabharata, when people read the book Mahabharata and say this is so, it is so disturbing. It is not disturbing. How can you call the writing of great Vyasadeva a disturbance? Why would he do that? But the harsh reality of life, the happy realities of life, the neutral realities of life, the different emotions of life are presented by Vyasadeva as it is. If you study Friedrich Nietzsche, when he was studying, he went into deep study of suffering. And what did he say? That the whole concept of Christianity or Western religion of going back to the kingdom of God is caused by the principle. What is the impetus for wanting to go to the kingdom of God according to the Western philosophy? Because continuous presentation of suffering in this world, suffering. So consciously or unconsciously, he says that you are made to believe that this world should be hated. This is not worth appreciating. This is not worth appreciating. But he said, there is some truth to his understanding, not everything. So he says that unless you are willing to take the difficult task of finding meaning in this world, and part of finding meaning to this world also has the inherent character of suffering. There is the inherent character of suffering. And therefore it is very important when we study suffering, we have to study suffering based upon what Krishna is teaching us. It is so important to learn from Krishna. And we will also study, as we study, how Vidura sees suffering. We are not saying that there is no suffering, but how do I study suffering? So here Krishna gives this profound wisdom in the 2nd chapter 14th verse to Arjuna. He doesn't talk about faith, he doesn't talk about sin, he doesn't talk about piety, he does not talk anything about this. Whether you are pious, whether you are living a regulated life, but that is the nature of this world. The nature of this world is the land of duality. And because it is part of duality, he does not say only tolerate the suffering. He says even happiness should be tolerated. Because happiness has the power to make us dull. Happiness has a power to make us absorbed and not analyze. Tallinta, it is called as Tallinta. We always see If somebody is going through the great happiness, like other day, one of our friend, a very nice gentleman, he called me and he was very down. Very down. He said, Prabhuji, I lost my mother. He said, I can't. I said, oh my God, I didn't know. You didn't tell me about this. And nobody told me. She had passed away 4 days back. I wrote an article about that. So then he said, Prabhuji, it was very strange. I'm supposed to be getting married on 30th October. And then she passed away on the 15th August. Annada Ekadashi. 63-year-old. Everything was all right. They had done her medical test few days before. Everything was normal. After the engagement happened, this lady was talking to her husband, talking to her son also. I don't think I'll be there on your marriage. They said, why are you speaking like this? She said, I want to pass away on Ekadashi. And she would feed so many of his friends food, with loving happiness, with gratitude. Even when her childhood, when she came from a very struggling family back in coastal Karnataka, whatever she would earning from the age of 10, right? So there, she would provide whatever she would get something to God in the, gratitude. It was a tragedy in their house, shattered by this event. But if you see this event also, even in that suffering, there is a saundarya, there is a beauty. She left her body on a Ekadashi day in the lap of her son, near the altar, chanting the name of Krishna and Radharani. She was not an official devotee. I don't think she ever came here. No, because she had no time. She was busy doing her karma yoga, keeping God in the center, Krishna in the center. Left on Ekadashi day, Annada Ekadashi. Right. So therefore, she was grateful what she got in life. Therefore, that objective reality, that subjective. Objective reality is what death is inevitable. What is the subjective reality? How to experience it? Somebody lives for 75 years, 80 years and suddenly develops some kind of disease. Yes, we can say tragedy hit their life, but when? After living a fulfilled life, it is a sad on the part of the human being when something goes wrong like this. What is the conclusion of some negative spiritualist? Oh, did you see that? Ultimately, life is all suffering only. This is the sign of ingratitude. You enjoyed the life so nicely, you had a nice festivals. Suffering is part of life, suffering is not conclusion of life. अगर किसी ने सफरिंग को जीवन का निष्कर्ष बना दिया, तो then we are actually fighting against the concept of Krishna. It is a dvandva. Therefore, what is it? The Mahabharata deals with life as it is, and life is Mahabharata. So therefore, the central theme of dealing with the flawed human beings, uninformed human beings, they make this claim, oh, life is ultimately smashan में ही जाता है. अरे कितना, कैसे बोल सकते हो ऐसा? Yes, Lord Ramachandra in the Ramayana, in the Kavya Shastra, when he meets with, whom does he meet? He meets his brother Bharat. And what does he do first? He talks about governance. And then when he speaks, when they hear the departure of the father, he breaks down, he cries in separation of his father. When Bharat insists Lord Ramachandra to come back to Ayodhya, that time what does Lord Ram do? Lord Ram talks about the eternal principle of life also, in the form of trying to make Bharat detached from his desire to take Lord Ram back to Ayodhya. That time he says. No, but it is not that he did not speak other things. So therefore the central theme of dealing of flawed human beings, what is that? Torn by conflict and confused by reality, their frailties which leads to sorrow and grief, right? So therefore, in one very interesting book I was reading, which talks about this suffering, aesthetic suffering. So there, the author talks about 4 involved parties. Victim of suffering, that means person who suffers. The agent of suffering, right? The people who watch others suffer and do nothing, observers. And 4th are the advisor against the grief. All the 4 people are the involved party in the act of suffering, right? Now let's again see, Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita is part of the Mahabharata. And the very first chapter is the chapter of lamentation. It is entitled as Arjuna Vishada Yoga. It is not Arjuna Vishad alone. There are 3 Vishadas. The Vishada of Arjuna, the Vishada of Dhritarashtra, the Vishada of Duryodhana. But here the people who gave titles to Bhagavad Gita chapters since few hundred years, what do they give this title as? Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Prabhupada gives the title Observing the Army. And when does the Vishada happen? When you observe. When your observation is flawed with confusion, that gives rise to Vishada. So, what did you see Arjuna when we went through painful realities in the first chapter? He experienced Murcha. Now, Murcha is not stunned ecstasy. Murcha means on every platform there is numbness of the senses. There is pragyanash. Pragyanash means your wisdom is destroyed. And that also gives rise to kashmal. Gandagi bahar aati hai. And what is that gandagi? The gandagi of reacting to your observation. Right. And what did Arjuna observe? Let us see Arjuna's observation. He told Krishna, Senaya Ubhayar Madhya Ratham Stapayame Achyuta Yavad Etad Nirikshaham Yuddhu Kaman Avasthitan. Kairmaya sa yuddhavyam Asmin Rana Samuddame. Krishna, I want to know whom I have to fight with. What does Krishna do? Krishna brings Arjuna to the very place, where his superiors are standing. Tan samikshya sa kauntaya sarvan partan manogatan avasthitan. Kripaya paraya vishta. Kripaya maya. वो माया करती है, थी माया करते. Kripaya paraya vishta. The word kripaya basically means out of compassion, but that very compassion caused him vishada, by seeing all kinds of different personalities. Now, very interesting, when Arjuna saw his observation, Duryodhana's observation, Dhritarashtra's observation, we will not get into that because we want to see beauty in suffering. They were seeing, helplessness in suffering and arrogance in suffering. Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra. But Arjuna was able to see eventually. Therefore it is called as yoga, Arjuna Vishada Yoga. It is not called as roga. What is it? Arjuna's 3 characters. He was Mahamana. Arjuna went through so much for 13 years. But still he is willing to be large hearted. Not only to superiors, even to his own family members, the opposite party, like others who are causing so much of pain to him. Parama Karunaika, not able to tolerate others' pain. In fact, one Vaishnava commentator says, this is the character of one aspect of Krishna's character. Parama Karunika, at all stages extending his compassion. Dhirga Bandhu. Dhirga Bandhu means just like Lord Narayan, when he came as Lord Narsingadev, he did not forget his relationship with Hiranyakashipu. He realized he is ultimately my person only. Similarly, when Arjuna came after 13 years, when he saw the battleground, he did not forget his relationship with Dronacharya, his martial guru. He did not forget his relationship with Kripacharya, the Kula Guru. He did not forget his relationship with Bhishma Deva, his grandfather. Even though in these 13 years, they did not even come to meet him even once. So Arjuna's observation on the battlefield of Kurukshetra was the observation of a refined human being. And those who were standing on the other side of the battlefield, some were refined, but it was covered over by their so-called duties. Right? When Yudhishthira Maharaj will eventually go to offer his obeisances to his superiors, Bhishma, Drona, Kripacharya and Shalya, what did they say? Oh Yudhishthira, what can we do? We are the servants of Artha. Artha is nobody's servant. We bless you, but we will fight for Duryodhana. So therefore, we see Arjuna did cry. His heart broke down. And even after hearing the Bhagavad Gita, when the time came for him to basically fight during the battle against Bhishma, during the battle against Bhurishrava, during the battle against our, what is his name? Bhishma Dev, Dronacharya, there was so much of hesitation. His heart would break. Right? When Kunti revealed Yudhishthira Maharaj about her connection with Karna, there is an interesting passage in the Mahabharata. And Yudhishthira Maharaj immediately said, oh my God, he said, why? He said, why? Whenever I saw the feet of Karna, suddenly the face of my mother would come there. मेरे माता का चेहरा मेरे सामने आ जाता था. क्यों नहीं पहचान पाया? Arjuna is going through that suffering. So Arjuna suffered before the battle. He suffered during the battle and he suffered after the battle. But fortunately for him, there was a visionary who was making his suffering turn into aesthetic experience. Right? So therefore, Arjuna reacting to such feeling, what happens? When you react to such feeling, it gives rise to some kind of intense logic. And generally these logics are incoherent. But Arjuna's logic in regards to why he should not fight is very coherent and very logical. Why was it logical? Because even in his painful condition, he did not lose the Shastra. And he talks, if you read the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he talks about the past tradition, the Kula Dharma, the Jati Dharma, the Swadharma. There is a legacy. He was able to see the past. It is explained, those who do not understand their past, one of the greatest tragedy for the Indians is that they don't have a connection to the profound past with whatever limitation it experience. And there are some people, they are still very poetic about the past. सोने की चिड़िया थी, ऐसे थी, वैसे थी, इसको कुछ नहीं होगा, right? So, but Arjuna was able to see, he knew the entire past, and he knew the present situation, why the war is happening, what will happen with this war, and he knew the future reality. What was the future reality? Not the death of all the people. That is the present reality. 18 दिन में सब हो जाएगा. But the future reality is that women will be unprotected. They'll be exploited, and that exploitation will give rise to unwanted population. When the unwanted population is there, they will not perform the Shraddha. When they will not perform the Shraddha ceremony, the ancestor will rot in the hellish planet. So he saw what will be the consequences of that. That was the future, and that future gave rise to the post future in regards to what will happen to the ancestors. They will not be able to go beyond the Pitriloka, they will rot there. So Arjuna's reasons were great, but the decision are not right. They were contrary to the need of the hour. So therefore observation has to give rise to aesthetic understanding, and that aesthetic understanding also has to give rise to right decisions. Most of the time people, they see tragedy, their understanding itself is flawed. Why do we ask that question, that why this happened? Not this lady, another devotee, very sweet, one of our photographers, his sister, a devotee, works in the accounts office. She had a sweet wife, just 30-year-old. She had a massive brain hemorrhage, had a 3-year-old baby. She passed away. She left this world. Now one may say, why this happened to her? How can Krishna do like this? How strange that question is. How can we object Krishna? Because in the very second chapter, he is saying this to us, Matra Sparshastu Kaunteya. Forget Arjuna, the great devotee, his son was 16 or 17-year-old. He had a wife. He had just married before the battle started in Kampilya, in Virata's kingdom. And the lady Uttara was carrying the baby in her womb also. And not only Abhimanyu died, he was brutally killed with all kinds of insult to his body, to his spirit. They used all kind of ill means. वो कत्तल कहते हैं ना, कत्तल. They slaughtered, and they were taking pleasure in slaughtering Abhimanyu, wherein the other Pandavas were helplessly watching. It was almost like Draupadi's incident replay. Here Draupadi was almost losing her dignity, and here Abhimanyu was insulted, ridiculed, slaughtered from every perspective. वो देख रहे थे उसको. Right. When Arjuna asked this question, he went through so much of painful reality. Just read that part of the Mahabharata. It sounds that Krishna apparently is very harsh to Arjuna. Whom will you be harsh? Now, one may say, how can Krishna do this? Now, Krishna spent more time with Abhimanyu than Arjuna also spent. When the Pandavas were in exile for 13 years, this boy was raised in Dwarka. Mahabharata explains that Krishna did not experience the affection of Mama, but he became an affectionate Mama to Abhimanyu. Baap se jada, to the extent where Krishna was doing menial service to Abhimanyu. There was such an affection. He was the son of his daughter's sister. But when he passed away, to afflicted, grief-stricken Arjuna, what does Krishna do? Krishna does not stop speaking the philosophy what he presented in 2.14. It's a tragedy, it's a pain, it's shattering to the family. That reality is the reality. One cannot tell them not to cry. In fact, one may cry till the rest of their life. I remember the accident when it happened in Nepal. One of the families, their both sons, Murli and Gagan, both sons were basically killed in that car, in the flight, in the plane. The mother and father, this year we couldn't go to Janmashtami to their house. Every year they celebrate Janmashtami. Every year we go, it is almost like now 8-9 years. Right? Every time we go, the mother cries. She's very affectionate. She cries. The father is sitting. There is a pain. And what do we discuss? I said, Mataji, आपको तो जिंदगी भर रोना ही पड़ेगा. ये रोना मत बंद करना. Right? Don't stop, because, and who am I to say don't stop? She will cry. That is the painful separation reality. But what makes it atheistic reality is, the teachings, the perception. So therefore, just because there is a suffering, the legacy of life cannot be stopped. That has to continue. One cannot speak, oh, how can this tragedy hit? Yes, that is a tragedy, but to blame Krishna, to blame material nature, or to conclude that सब कुछ suffering में परिवर्तित हो जाता है, that means we are giving extra importance to suffering at the cost of other emotions which we experience in life. Sukha and dukkha, both are there. Therefore, the reasons are great, but the decisions are contrary to the need. What was the need? His own nature. As a Kshatriya, he has to fight. Second, the need for justice. Third, the universal dharmic law. And fourth, pleasing his superiors, the brother and Sri Krishna. ये चार कारण के लिए, these four reasons, Arjuna had to fight. But at least in the first chapter, the sufferer, what happens to him? Keeps his bow and sits along with the bow in the chariot. And he said, hey Govinda, I will not fight. I will not fight. Right? So what does Krishna do? Krishna is smiling. So that is the first understanding, the victim, the sufferer, and what gave rise to suffering, the observation. But in the second chapter we see, it is called as Arjuna Vishada Yoga, because Arjuna did not just sit, he chose to listen to the words of Krishna. The second, the agent of suffering. The first was the victim. Now the second is the agent of suffering. Which is the best personality, the agent of suffering? Dhritarashtra is the greatest agent of suffering. If you study the entire Mahabharata, what is it? In the Pandava life, in the entire Kuru race, it was Dhritarashtra was responsible for causing suffering. He is the agent of the suffering and eventually became an object of suffering also. Can you imagine? He, because of his wrong decisions, he suffered because of the wrong decisions, and the consequences of the wrong decisions were so huge. Losing your 100 sons on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, hearing about them on a commentary basis. आज 15 चले गए, अरे वो कोई मक्खी है, बच्चे है, he is an attachment for them. You know, he is blamed for the war. He is responsible for consequent devastation which includes himself to suffer. And where it all began, his observation. Arjuna became the victim, but Dhritarashtra's observation became the agent. समझने का प्रयास करें. You know, Arjuna became the victim of suffering, but Dhritarashtra became the agent of the suffering. उन्होंने चालू किया suffering को. Where it all began? It all began with this feeling that destiny has been very cruel to me. Destiny has been very cruel to me, unjust to me and my family, that I am supposed to be the king. मुझे राजा बनना था. Entitlement. No, this dynastic politics, they feel entitled. They feel that country belongs to us. When all these politicians talk about caste politics, they create caste politics, they talk about social injustice in India, in other places, but royally they play such a caste, forget caste, they play family cards to such an extent. और लोग अपने आंखों को खोल के देखते ही नहीं है. What is it? Dhritarashtra is not there. Vyasa's Mahabharata is not there, but Mahabharata sure is there. They are becoming the agent of the suffering of people. And sure enough, जो भी एजेंट बनेगा उसको विक्टिम भी बनना ही पड़ेगा. Right? So where it all began? It all began by saying, I am blind. No, he said, I am born to rule, but my destiny is that I am born blind. राज्य परिवार में जन्म लिया, लेकिन मैं अंधा बन गया ना, कितना बड़ा दुर्भाग्य है. Right? Small incompleteness became his complete life, unfortunately. He considered that to be everything of his life, just like we do, unfortunately, which should not be doing. We conclude suffering is the ultimate destination of life. You had a great festivals, you had a great life, you celebrated your marriage, you celebrated your children's birthdays, you went for so many events, you are able to run, you are able to play, you are able to go for so many places. When there is a tragedy hits, when the health crisis, and we are saying, oh, ultimately it's all, this is the conclusion. How sad it is. Basically, consciously or unconsciously, we are blaming God, saying that you made us, you made us so that we can come to this level of reality. That's the philosophy of Nirvanavad. What is it? All relationship leads to suffering. All interaction leads to suffering. यहाँ कुछ सुखी नहीं है, केवल दुखी है. एक कृतज्ञता, this is the peak height of ingratitude. Therefore 2.14 is such a profound concept. I am grateful up until now, whatever I have experienced, and I am pained now because of my suffering condition. And what to speak of saying, how can God do this? And therefore Netzi, when he saw suffering, You know, he thought the conclusion of life is nihilism, shunyata. Na saundarya, na sukh, na dukh. You know, I can't stand the Christian concept of, he said, of hating this world to go to another world where it is better than here. He said, I want to experience here nihilism. But our scripture, the Vedanta philosophy says there is happiness and there is distress. So, the Dhritarashtra, who is the agent of suffering, sometimes he does chastise his son, calls him Papa, Vishama, Manda Buddhi, and he feared Dharma more than the power of Arjuna and Yudhishthira, our Bhima. He knew the Dharma, right? And then you also had the conflict going back and forth, the confusion, what we discussed in the beginning. You know, he fears Yudhishthira Maharaj's Dharma, at the same time he tramples that very Dharma by saying to Krishna, who had sent a letter to Dhritarashtra through Akrura, what can be done, everything is will of God only, whatever is happening, I am not responsible. And then we see the yes, see, the agent of suffering, the people who watch others suffer and do nothing, either they have no power to do or they take no action against it. In the Sabha Parva we see Draupadi was going through so much, but unfortunately nobody did anything to her. Everyone was crying, लेकिन किसी ने कुछ नहीं किया. It was not losing life, it was not losing your bodily limbs, it was not losing your wealth, it is basically your dignity, your self-respect was ridiculed. And who was ridiculing? The bad people. And the worse, the good people were not doing anything about it. Very interesting. Somebody said, it's very interesting, this story. Draupadi, in one sense, one very amazing Vaishnava said, she represents the integrated culture of Bharat. And the Pandavas are supposed to what? Supposed to protect this integrated culture, but everybody was focused about his dharma. His immediate dharma, ki I am the brother of Yudhishthira Maharaj, he has lost, therefore I am also lost. It is none of my responsibility to protect Draupadi because I am not supposed to. Yudhishthira Maharaj is practicing the dharma of a gulam, being lost to the Kauravas. He said, how can I do this? Bhishmadev was practicing dharma of being loyal to his masters who are nasty people. Right? Everybody was only seeing their own personal perspective. There was no collective crying. As long as my place is not disturbed, does it matter what happens to somewhere in Bangladesh? So when we become one of the tragedy for Hindus or the practitioners of Sanatana Dharma is that very small-minded. They are like Karna, live in their small world, right? Therefore, tomorrow's subject, profitable venture, doing good to others. It's a very fascinating concept given by Vasudeva. When we only focus my child, my family, my jati, my gav, and does not go beyond that. Yes, certainly, charity begins at the home, but charity cannot stay only at the home. It's a doomed civilization. It is the doomed family. Right. So here the Sabya people, part of the Sabhyata, they were all caught up by their own dharma and forgot the higher dharma of protecting Draupadi, was connected to everybody. She was a wife of the Pandavas. She was the queen of Hastinapur, Indraprastha. She was the daughter-in-law of the entire Kurukul. You know, one of the most, because सबसे बड़े युधिष्ठिर महाराज रानी है, तो उनकी बहू है, उनकी रानी है. From every perspective she was related to everybody, but nobody did anything about her. They were all became criminal. They became criminal because of good reason. Kauravas were bad, but Bhishmadev, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, Yudhishthira Maharaj, Bhima, Nakul, Sahadev, Arjuna, everybody became, because they were only seeing from their own personal, मेरा मंदिर का क्या होगा, मेरा इंस्टीट्यूशन का क्या होगा, उसका मैं देखूंगा, बाकी मुझे लेना देना नहीं है. Right. They were all became criminal in the eyes of Krishna. So therefore, that's a very interesting principle. Tears, crying only brings more tears. You know, Gandhari suffered, but not like Draupadi. She lost her son. And who were her son? You know, they were hopeless, shameless, and cruel people. But still her suffering has been authenticized. You know, it is authentic. Suffering to suffering है ना. बच्चे अगर अच्छे हो बुरे हो, मरने के बाद, after the death of them, you do cry. But still it is not compared to what Draupadi went through. And the next two things, advisor against, the last one, the advisor against grief, we will see tomorrow. Right? We studied the agent of suffering. We studied the victim of suffering. We saw the observer of suffering. And the fourth is the advisor against the grief. And who is that? The Vidura. That we will see tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
RG Media YouTube channel. Like, share, subscribe.